bigger or smaller? Honestly, it's a hard question to answer because I don't think we had any expectations. Not because we didn't care, but because it was a pretty big, daunting task to even imagine something like this could be possible. Maybe 2 years in we could start seeing this, but initially we didn't because of the odds of trying to figure out how we have this challenge of getting a network of students to partner with community-based organizations. It was $400 in the bank account, and the team sort of totally redone. And yet, I would also say, in confronting big odds, we've always tried to be rigorous about it and take the boulder as much as possible. Even when our organization hasn't been the type of organization that gets together in a room, wasn't the type of organization that sort of creates a strategic plan and gets a huge funder, funds it, and everyone is happy at the end of the day. It's been a lot of hard work with a lot of different people involved. It's really been a grassroots effort. And so that's sort of the second reflection I think I had, that the only way we were able to have been in the past at least confront those odds, and I think we confront huge challenges today. How are we as an organization that's tripled in size going to build a community around this work? It's a big challenge. It's not answered. It's not going to be answered, but this weekend's the beginning to help answer some of those questions. And of course there's a whole other sets of questions in terms of, forget GlobeMed, the broader world out there, the challenges around the fact that we're probably not going to meet the MDGs in 3 years from now. Funding for global health and a lot of these issues is at stake in many directions. So we're entering a world that is as challenging as ever to confront. So we're going to face huge odds if we're going to want to take bold action. The only thing that I think has kept us in this in many ways has been collective participation. That's sort of the second reflection that I've had at every step. Thinking back to that first summit, the idea of 40 students basically at the chalkboard trying to, well, it wasn't 40 all at once, but it was a lot of us talking at once, probably at times, just trying to duke it out and trying to figure out what the ideas could be. And all along, I mean, that was just the beginning to that journey. And I think when someone once shared with me in GlobeMed that it's an organization where it seems like people speak with the possibility of being heard and listen with the possibility of being changed. And I think that's important to keep in mind. That's collective participation in my book. Like, that's what this organization has been built on. And it's really powerful going forward. That's the only way we can confront huge odds, is if you speak with the possibility of being heard, right? My phone? Oh, hello, Mom. Sorry. Damn it, I was going to say something sort of profound. Speak with the possibility of being heard, listen with the possibility of being changed. But that's really honestly what's helped get the organization through a lot of challenging moments. And I think we'll continue to in the future. And what's here? Maybe this is going to happen sometime. In terms of being able to have that collective participation, it's been guided by sort of the final reflection. It's been guided by a compass of values, I think. Sort of the way we could come together and have those conversations. Even when we weren't sure about what the precise direction was, those values were important and have been important and will continue to be important. I'm not going to get into those today, but there's plenty of time to reflect on that. But you guys probably talked about it, Alyssa.
Oh,
we had our second, third, and fourth summit. Ed was the keynote at the second one, talking about notions around pragmatic solidarity, talking about human rights and social justice and all these words and some might say buzzwords, have deeper meanings that we've explored and will continue to need to explore because they always need to be renewed in terms of what their meaning is in today's age. But they helped guide us. They're the lighthouse, I think, for our organization, where it forces us to sort of see further than what we might be able to see otherwise. It challenges us to realize that we need to have a standard of excellence. This isn't about getting together and feeling good. This is about achieving certain social goals. And if we want to reach social goals that are the types that we dream about, then we've got to execute. We've got to get things right and dream big, and not just dream big, but really execute well. But I think those values have always challenged us to do that. So that's sort of the final reflection I had in terms of that journey. And going forward, I think that's a question that a lot of you guys will get a chance to participate in helping answer during this weekend together, and going forward as well. I know Maya's got a big presentation planned for tomorrow morning on a lot of this stuff, but I sort of wanted to share one reflection that I've had this summer in thinking about GlobeMed, and it's something that talked about a little bit with a few people that had this conversation, is this notion that we're entering this world. We've already entered it, it's been this way, but it's more this way going forward. This notion of this paradox of power. In that the world that we're entering, on the one hand, seems like power is in the hands of more and more people, right? It's more diffuse. Internet, Facebook, Twitter, the rise of NGOs and civil society, it wasn't around 25 years ago. Businesses even, governments, so many different actors and players involved in a space like global health, but in general, around so many things. Private citizens getting involved. Power is more diffuse. So it seems like, right? On the flip side of the coin, though, it's been really interesting to note, particularly in our political moment right now, anybody could sort of watch what's going on and see that power is operating less and less on behalf of the most vulnerable in society, and more on behalf of the few. And any quantitative statistic would tell you that. Look at income inequality in the world, in the US, and globally. I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but something like the 400 richest families in this world have more wealth than like 2 billion people. Like we could probably fill up Zoba's noodle with more wealth than, entire continents now. And so it's a really dizzying world to enter into. How could it be that a world in which power is more in the hands of more and more people could also be a world in which power seems to operate less and less on behalf of those most vulnerable in society? And so when I reflect on that, I think the things that we need to get right might be to understand that no longer is social change going to be dictated by one mode of action. It's not going to be, let's all march on the National Mall, get one law passed, and everything will change. Not that that was ever the case, of course, and of course that will be part of the strategy moving forward, perhaps, right? But there is a whole set of actors and players that we need to engage with and get involved with to push things in the right direction. We need to break down the boundaries around fields and sectors, around governments versus business, around ego and personal ambition. These are things that need to be broken down in order for us to really address a world in which power is more diffuse, right? It's the only way we're going to get it done. And at the same time, it seems like we need to really keep at heart, what is this all about? That's something that's really easy to forget. And I think GlobeMed has it right on this, in that we can remember that it's really truly, at the end of the day, about the communities that we're working alongside and building those relationships of solidarity that need to guide our action on a lifelong basis. It's not just about 4 years here, it's about a lifetime of this action. But these 4 years, or 3 years, or however long you're involved with GlobeMed, is really crucial in understanding the way that we can work alongside community organizations, push forward, and listen to those voices, to push for the right things, and to make sure we remember who it is and alongside whom we're fighting, right? And that needs to be at the core of the vision going forward, because I think so often we forget. So easy it is to forget, just a few years out of college even. And it's really crucial to get that right, because otherwise power will continue to operate on behalf of those that, won't operate on behalf of those that are most vulnerable. And so sort of that's the paradox of power that I think we might consider and think about it. You could